Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. My name's AJ. I'm here to talk about all of the fake news that's going around in social media. There's a lot of fake news created by Western mainstream media, also on social media as well. And I gotta say, most of it is coming from the Ukrainian side. Before I start the show, I wanted to ask you guys for a quick favor. If you guys can click the like button, and if you can subscribe if you haven't done so already, and also if you guys can comment. I love reading your comments and I love to respond in each and every one of you. And if you really like my channel, if you really want to support me and what I do, you're welcome to join my Patreon, and you're welcome to buy me a coffee. Currently on 44 subscribers, and let's get that number up to 50. So thanks very much, and let's get on with the show. The biggest piece of fake news that's coming out of this conflict is that Russia is losing. Russia's invasion has stopped or is stalled. They've lost about 70,000 men. They've lost hundreds of aircrafts and thousands of tanks and all sorts of fake news. Every single day I see in the British media that Russia's losing, Ukraine is kicking ass, so many ridiculous stories. And anyone that knows a little bit about military tactics and can see from a distance what Russia is doing, Russia is not going into the cities. They are attacking positions outside the cities. So what they're trying to do is suffocate these cities. They are stopping any new weapons going in. They are stopping reinforcements going in. They are stopping things like food going in. So these soldiers that are in the cities, they have no choice but to surrender. If Russia wanted to blow Ukraine into smithereens, they could have. They have a really massive army. They have a really big air force. They got millions and millions of bombs stockpiled. So they can flatten Ukraine at any moment, but they're not doing that. They're not doing what the US did to Iraq, what the US did to Afghanistan. Literally the shock and awe treatment blew Iraq into smithereens. They didn't care about any civilian deaths. They just destroyed the infrastructure. They destroyed everything that Iraq had built. It pretty much flattened the whole city, flattened the whole country. Russia does not want to do that. Russia wants to keep the infrastructure, and what Russia's doing is surrounding these cities, like Mariupol is surrounding these cities, and they are taking out these positions one by one. So if soldiers are concentrated in a barracks or they're concentrated on a post, they are not going in to take them out. They are destroying those posts with missiles, and accurate missiles as well. These are hitting barracks at a very accurate speed. They're killing soldiers in a very accurate speed. They're not targeting civilians. If Russia wanted to target civilians, they would have destroyed the whole city. But they don't want it to be like that. So the invasion is not stalled, as they say. Russia is surrounding cities at the moment, and they are taking out positions one by one. They are taking their time, and everything in the front line that Russia's using is old tanks. If you Google everything that's being damaged in terms of Russian hardware, it's old tanks from World War II, even World War One. Some of them don't even drive. They're really, really old. And Russia doesn't care if they get destroyed, because they know there's a lot of foreign fighters in there with a shoulder weapons that take out tanks, that take out helicopters. So it's very dangerous for them to send their whole army inside these cities. So the reason they're not going in is because they want to avoid civilian deaths. Because what Ukrainian soldiers will do, they would go and hide amongst the civilians in apartment blocks or schools and fire from there. And they would use guerrilla tactics to take out Russian tanks and Russian aircraft or even Russian people, and Russia doesn't want that, so they're not doing that. So what they're doing is surrounding these cities. The invasion is not stalled. All they're doing is surrounding cities. They're setting up checkpoints and things like that, and they're slowly squeezing the cities out. And so eventually what you'll find, a lot of these Ukrainian soldiers that are being holed up in these cities will run out of ammunition, run out of food, and they will have to give up. And that's what Russia wants. They don't want to get them killed. They just want them to give up. And they want to kind of win this war with as less bloodshed as possible. And this is what's happening. But obviously in the news, all of the Western press is saying Russia is losing, Russia's taking huge amounts of losses. This isn't the case at all. I mean, look at the map, how much land that Russia's taken of Ukraine. And that is getting bigger and bigger by the day. Russia is not losing. They are surrounding some of the major cities. They haven't even got into western Ukraine just yet. They're securing all of their positions in eastern Ukraine. They're surrounding all of the Azov battalions in Mariupol and the Ukrainian soldiers in Donetsk. They're surrounding their positions, and they're basically gonna wait for them till they run out of food and run out of ammunition, and they would just give up. And this is the best tactic. They're not doing what the Americans did to Iraq. They're not doing what they did to Afghan. And I think that's what Americans expected. I think that's what the British expected. But Russia is not doing that. And because Russia is doing this, the British papers and the Western papers are saying, "Oh, Russia is losing. Russia is stalling its invasion." What do they want? Do they want this war to end in like days or something? Wars take time. I mean, look at the Yemen conflict. It's taken years. America won the war in Iraq and Afghanistan in record time, but that's because they blew the whole country in smithereens. Russia doesn't want to do that. So all of this fake news coming around, just don't believe anything you hear in the Western media. It's all part of a big narrative. But I'm going to show you some more stories the Western media has been spewing out, not only Western media, but also social media as well. So I'll show you what I mean. So I saw this article on BBC the other day, and I was quite surprised to see something like this, because even they are acknowledging that there's a lot of fake news out there and a lot of public are being fooled. So I'm going to show you some of these biggest fake stories that's going around, and I'll go through them one by one, and I'll let you know what my thoughts are. So the first one is this guy. So this guy, you can obviously see makeup is being put on his face, and this is from a 2020 television series. And again, his face was shown all over social media that basically he's injured, and he's reporting and all of these atrocities that Russia's doing. And again, this has been proved false. And again, stuff like this is being shared out to millions of people online, on social media, as well as mainstream media sending out these stories as well. So you can see a lot of these fake images from 2020 back in the day. So this is a really funny one. There's a moving corpse. So this reporter is saying all of these deaths were because of the Russian bombing all of these innocent people. There's mass graves, and this corpse at the middle of his interview gets up and looks around, and he goes back into the bag. So he just shows again, this is another PR disaster, and these guys are just spreading fake news that Russia's killing innocent civilians when it's not the case at all. And then you got CNN, Fox News showing basically Ukrainian civilians taking up arms. But later on, you can see, if you look closely, you can see these are not really real guns. They're fake guns. They're wooden guns. And this has again been proved false. And again, you can see a lot of Western media outlets, they love kind of spreading stories like this. And this is a funny one. I saw actually on CNN that Steven Seagal has actually joined the fight with Russia, and many of you know Steven Seagal is a very good friend of Putin, and so a lot of people are saying Steven Seagal has joined the Russian forces, the secret service, and it's ridiculous, guys. So this one is basically a guy who got killed. And it says here, CNN reported a journalist, this guy died. But unfortunately, this guy is the same guy that died years ago. You can see CNN reported this. CNN reported the death of Bernie Gores in Ukraine after sharing a story about the same man's demise in Afghanistan during the Taliban takeover last year. So he died twice, once during Ukraine and once during the Taliban. But this guy is not dead, he's very much alive, and he's using a wrong identity. His real name is called Geordie Jordan. As you can see, Bernie Gores is in fact a YouTuber who is very much alive called Geordie Jordan. So this is stuff that's been spread around by CNN, other Western media outlets, but BBC also has to take some of the blame as well, because I've seen some stories about BBC doing a lot of this fake stuff as well, which I'll get into later on. So you can see some of these footages, and in the videos it says the video was leaked from Ukraine, suggesting some of the distress scenes run by media outlets are actually fabricated. So this particular scene was showing loads of people running for their lives, and in fact this is actually behind the scenes footage from a film called Invasion Planet Earth, and they're running from their lives because of aliens, not because of Russians. And Russia hasn't even started going into Kiev yet. So also this video was actually shot in Birmingham's Victoria Square, and it's not in Ukraine's Kiev. Even the director has come out and says on Twitter he was shocked to see his footage being used like this. And again, all of it's coming from the Ukrainian side, and it's absolutely ridiculous how people believe it in social media, and also how they fool the Western media as well. And then you got this story of this beautiful woman joining the army, and it says here, this is the wife of Vice President of Ukraine. She is fighting for her motherland. It's actually not the wife of the Vice President, because Ukraine does not have a Vice President. So a lot of these Ukrainians spreading these lies. They don't even know how their country's run. And the original photo was taken during a rehearsal for a military parade in Kiev. And this woman is actually British, she's not Ukrainian. So in this picture you can see a woman injured by Russian shelling became the subject of conspiracy theories and false claims online. This woman, basically she was the same woman injured in Chuchiv, which was a 2018 gas explosion in Russia. So basically they've used the same woman for this picture as well. Absolutely ridiculous. Then you got this picture of a young girl confronting a soldier is not Ukrainian. So you can see a young girl here. This was also shown in The Sun, The Mirror, and lots of British papers. I remember seeing this, and it was all over social media as well. Unfortunately, she's not Ukrainian. It's basically a young Palestinian girl confronting an Israeli soldier, and again they're trying to use people from other countries to push their propaganda. And as you know, Palestinians have been struggling now for years and years, and not many people are really doing anything about it. So then you got a Molotov cocktail fight in Kiev, and apparently there's a fire in Kiev, and this video was taken during Euromaidan protest in 2014. So again, false stuff going around, and this is one actually. There's a video game clip that's going around viral. It's about Ukrainian pilot shooting down the Russian fighter jet, and this guy is the Ghost of Kiev. So this Ghost of Kiev, guys, was all over the British papers, even The Sun and all these other papers were talking about it. They were saying the legendary pilot, the Ghost of Kiev, is real, insist the Ukrainians. And apparently he shot down 10 Russian planes. 10 Russian planes. Seriously, have you seen any Ukrainian planes flying around Ukraine? Because if they are, they'd be immediately shot down by the Russian military or the Russian aircrafts or anti-aircraft missiles. Absolutely ridiculous. Then this story came out that is complete fake. Ghost of Kiev video is a fake made using digital combat simulator game. So you can see all of these people getting fooled by digital technology these days. You can come up with any old story. And the thing is, I can understand it going via social media, it goes viral, but I don't understand why British newspapers and Western papers pick up on it as well, and they're kind of frothing on their mouths thinking, yeah, what a great story, yeah, let's print it, let's post it, without doing any checks of themselves. You know, like I said, journalists nowadays, you know, are really, really stupid. They don't do any checks, they don't do any background checks. They post anything, whatever they want, based on the narrative, and the editors are just, you know, yeah, post it. It sounds good for a paper. Just it'll sell it. The journalism is dead. Nobody does real journalism these days. The only person who does real journalism is in jail, and I'm talking about Julian Assange, and he's the only person who actually did real journalism. But everyone else are just monkeys being told what to do. You got pictures such as this, and you got British MPs and people all over social media posting stuff like this. And again, this picture has been proved false. This was an old image in 2016, and it's absolutely horrendous how social media works. And if you're on social media and you're trying to talk about you're trying to talk on a different point of view, then you get deleted by Twitter, or you get banned, you know, or your post gets deleted. Nobody's allowed to talk in a different, you know, point of view that doesn't go along with the narrative. And I'm talking about Twitter, I'm talking about Facebook, I'm talking about all of these Western technology companies. And you got Vitaly Klitschko, which is who is a boxer, and apparently he's on the front line fighting with the military as well. But not many people realize that he's actually a mayor of Kiev as well. So he's not going to go out there fighting in the military. He's going to be making sure his people are safe and doing his mayor duties. And again, this was an old picture. It's not a new picture. Then you got this one about Zelensky drinking with his Ukrainian forces. And again, this picture was proved false as well. As you can see, it was shot a week ago before the invasion began. So, you know, a lot of these stuff that's coming out of Ukraine is mainly just false propaganda spread by Ukrainians and then put on social media. Then you get all of these brainwashed idiots spreading it as well. Then you get all of these brainwashed media people spreading it, putting in their papers. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's more, by the way. There's quite a lot of these BBC articles. Ukraine conflict, further false images shared online. So a lot of images are going on online that, you know, Ukrainian drones are destroying Russian tanks and stuff. And you think to yourself, oh wow, Ukraine is winning, you know, they got drones, they're destroying Russian tanks and stuff. That is not the case at all. This is again has been proved false. And you can see here some videos such as this clip of an aerial attack are from previous conflicts. So again, you know, Ukraine does not have this technology. And I have seen these clips on the Sun paper, the independent British paper as well. So the British papers are covering it. And again, you know, a lot of people in the comment section saying glory to Ukraine, Ukraine, when they don't even know it's fake. Again, you know, ridiculous. So there's clips of Russian airlines being shot out of the sky. Again, that's been proved false as well. It's basically from a game. You can see this is basically from a game, video game footage, and I've seen this clip as well. And there's a lot of stuff that you can do with special effects and video games that, you know, may look real, but it's not really, you know. And you got this video, an old video about Ukrainian troops did a face-off against each other. This happened during Crimea in 2014, so it's not something that's happened right now. And again, more drone footage as well, you can see. And all of this was again posted on Facebook, Twitter, and all of this has been proved wrong. The footage is from Syria in 2020. And it says here, Russia began with an airstrike on Ukraine that caused a chain reaction at the Luhansk power plant in Ukraine. Again, this has been proved false. This is an old video of an explosion that happened in Tianjin in China. So it's got nothing to do with Ukraine. Then you got all of these clips about people that are parachuting into farmlands and stuff. Again, that's been proved to be an old video. And then you got this stuff as well. A rocket barrage probably took place during military drills in 2018, and it's not happening right now. And again, you just can't believe anything that comes out of social media. And you got stuff like this as well. And again, this has been proved false. There's more, guys. There's more. There's one clip which has been deleted afterwards. Shows a fighter jet flying over an urban area, and a lot of sharp, people who know their military have found out this is actually an American-built F-16 Falcon, which has never been in service in Russia or in Ukraine. So again, that's been proved false as well. And this video here, that's been proved false. It was for a military parade in 2020. So it's not, if you're in a war, you're not going to fly your planes like this, are you? Like, when you're in a war, are you going to think about flying in a synchronized manner with your colleagues? Or are you going to think about, doing proper war missions and thinking about getting shot off the sky? And look, it's absolutely ridiculous how people believe this crap. And you got military paratroopers in Ukraine near Kharkov, and this was basically shot in 2016, so that was false. Russian fighter jet shot down by Ukraine. Again, this was false. Again, this was basically an aircraft shot down in 2011 by rebels over Benghazi on Libya. And people are saying this is fake because you can see green trees, and around February in Mariupol it's very, very cold, so these trees wouldn't be green, they'd pretty much be dead. So again, that's been proved false as well. And then you got Russian troops putting a flag on a public building in Ukraine, and again, this is an old picture, and you can see all of these explosions. This is another old video in 2020, and you can't believe anything that comes out of social media, especially Western social media, and you can't believe anything that comes out of the news because it's all fake, absolute fake. And I'm going to show you one last story, basically this one. This has come out recently. A pregnant woman photographed after a Russian strike on maternity hospital has died. So apparently this pregnant woman, she's been pictured basically walking around with injuries, and apparently she's dead. You can see here she's died, and this is from the New York Times. This is from New York Times and a few other articles. So this is a pregnant woman. So how a pregnant Ukrainian influencer was used in Russian disinformation. So you can see her injuries with all of these injuries around her face and stuff, and she's pregnant, she's walking down the stairs, and you can see from this image, this is the same image where they said she was dead. So you can see from the first article I showed you, apparently this woman died. So she died, so people were like, oh no, this poor pregnant woman, she died. Then basically a few hours later this came out. You can see pregnant woman gives birth hours after hospital bombing. So she's basically, some papers are saying she's dead, some papers are saying she's alive and she's given birth, and people are saying look at her face now. Basically there's no marks on her body, marks on her face, nothing at all. And this was shot hours You know, she's given birth hours after the hospital bombing. So you would think that she's not really Wolverine. She's not going to magically get rid of all of her facial marks in hours. And then you see stuff like this. Basically, she's a beauty blogger. So it's very plausible she could have put makeup on her face to look like she was injured, and she got a bit of fame because of it. And I can understand how people would use that to get that fame, to get that recognition, and maybe to get a visa to another country as well. So I don't understand how she can go from injuries in her face, from being dead in the New York Times, to being injured around her face. You can see here, and few hours later she's giving birth, and and her face is fully clean and there's no injuries in her face whatsoever. So you gotta think a lot of these stories are probably fake. A lot of these stories are people just manipulating the media for their own gain, not even thinking about probably the war. I'm not saying people are not getting injured. There are people getting injured. There are people getting killed. But there are certain people out there who are trying to milk it. Basically, they are trying to use this war for their own gains. And she's obviously a beauty blogger, so if she can get more followers by doing stuff like this, she would do it. And people have done it for much less. So that's all for now, guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. I love reading your comments, and I'll see you in the next video.